what are the revolution to military affairs initiatives introduced by the government of India?
One has to understand that Indian military is 14,55,550 active soldiers. We have 11,55,000 reserves. Our annual budget is almost 1.5% of the GDP, and we take away a good about 13 to 14% of the every year's budget. And it goes to about $70 billion, like you've seen this time. We build aircraft carriers, we build ships, we build our own aircraft, we build best of the missiles, we build largest networks, we build our own tanks, and we consume them all. We are the largest enterprise of India. Nobody else has got so much of manpower as what we have. And you'll be surprised that we consume almost one Mukesh Ambani's worth every year. It just vanishes with us. That's the... Now when you're spending that kind of money, the government needs to know what you're doing with this money. They question this country. What are you going to do with this money? Are you that cost effective? Today the word cost effective is there. When you spend money, you want to know. That's why the ladies bargain when they go out to the market.
Yes, sir.
But because they want to be more cost effective, value for money. So much of money is being spent on you. Are you actually value for money? Are you cost effective? When Kargil happened, okay, we did fight and we did push the Pakistanis back home. But how did they come inside? First of all, how could they make the bunkers inside? Then war happened. We lost so many good soldiers. We lost so many of our people. We actually destroyed the other side nice and proper. Send them back. Why did this happen? A committee sat down immediately after the Kargil War was over, and they said, let's find out what are the mistakes which we are doing.
The Kargil War
Review Committee. What they found out, that yes, the Pakistanis had moved in was known to India and was not known to Indians. It was neither known to Indians nor war and was known to India. Because it was known to you, yes. You had nothing to do with it. It was not known to me, but it was something to do with me. So where is the connect between you and me? This is what was the macro level issue which came out from the Kargil Review Committee. Now I'll read out what they found. He said India is the only major democracy where armed forces is outside the apex government structure. There's a government structure, but armed forces is outside that structure. I'm just reading out what the Kargil Review Committee said. Chiefs of the staff are operational commanders, and they are not chiefs of staff to the PM and RM. PM and RM in 1999 do not meet the chief. They don't listen. They don't have a connect with the chiefs. So these are the fault lines they found about the Indian military system. That's why the RMA thing is I'm coming to. Armed Forces Headquarters had developed a command. They were actually running the show instead of being a decision-making body only. They were taking all the decisions, but they were also dictating how the war will happen because they were not connected with the government. PM and RM had no benefit, views and expertise from the armed forces. They did not have a linkage direct to that individual who's sitting there from the military. And then there was resistance to change. There's a status quo to be maintained. Civilian will remain like this and so on. And locating headquarters under the defense secretary and not under the military. There's a lot of confusion which they found that this was the only military which was so confused. So what happened? On 15th of August 2019, the first speech from the Red Fort, which the Prime Minister made after coming back, he said a few things. In short, I will come out. He said military reforms are suggested by many, many reports. 99 Kargil happened, and he's talking in 2019, almost 20 years later, that there have been so many reports which have come about military reforms. All reports have brought few issues. Modernity in their own way. Army is getting modern in its own way. Navy is getting modern in its own way. Air Force is getting modern in its own way. I'm just repeating what the PM had said.
Yes.
India should not have fragmented approach. Okay? Have to work in unison. All three have to get together. One service is ahead of the other two services. I'm repeating PM's word. All should move simultaneously at the same pace. Good coordination is required. And we will now have a Chief of Defence Staff. Yes. So that is the announcement which he made. Which will give us an effective leadership. Yes, we have three chiefs. Now we have all three and the CDS working together.
Yes, sir.
It was a compelling task on this government because the rest of the world have a a CDS. We didn't have a CDS. They have a CDS kind, but we didn't have a CDS. He said this was a dream which will, of the new Hindustan, which will make changes. So what happened? Now, national level directive, like I said, flows out of the cabinet secretary. It's a union war book, comes out of the MOD war book, then goes down to the military as an RM op directive. Now, Ministry of Defence had 4 macro departments. One was the Department of Defence, which was headed by the Defence Secretary. You had Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, which was headed by another secretary. You had Department of Defence Production, headed by one secretary. And you had Department of R&D, which was also the chairman, DRDO.
Yes, sir.
The Department of Defence was split into 2, and they came up with a new department known as Department of Military Affairs. This is the only democratic country where you have a uniform person also secretary to the government of India and taking military decisions. Earlier, the military decisions were being taken by the civil defense secretary. Now his equivalent, a secretary in uniform, is taking the decision. So Department of Defense was cut into 2. You have to understand we have ministries, then you have departments which are run by the secretaries, then you have offices and you have attached offices. That is a sequence.
Yes.
Military were attached offices to the defense secretary. Now you have a separate department altogether. What happened? There is something known as allocation of business rule, which is given to every secretary that this is your business as far as your department is concerned. Now, what was given to the defense secretary was Defense of India. Even today, after the DMA, Defense of India remains with the defense secretary. Then he was given the armed forces were under the Department of Defense. That's gone. It's gone under the DMA. And headquarters of Army, Navy, Air Force and IDS was under the defense secretary. That's gone.
Yes.
That's gone to DMA. And you had Reserve of Army, Navy, Air Force. That's with them. And you had the Territorial Army, which was under the defense secretary, gone. It's now with the DMA. National Cadet Corps is with him. And all the work services, that means construction of a building, construction of roads, construction of bunkers, construction, was under the defense secretary, has been shifted under the DMA. So now, this is how the division has happened in military affairs. So, along with this, the DMA or the Department of Military Affairs were given 3 more important allocation of business: promoting jointness in procurement, training and staffing. That means now they're looking for the 3 services joining together. What PM said on 15th of August in 2019 actually fructified on January 2020 when the CDS was appointed. Yes. The second thing was restructuring of military commands. That's an order given to the CDS to restructure the command. You have Army Command, Air Force Command, Naval Command, merge them, make them as a cluster of commands. So that's what the present CDS and his team is working on. I will not be privy to that. And promoting indigenous equipment by the services. That is why the CDS comes out with initially he came out with a negative import list. Yes. Now he is coming out with the positive indigenization list. Okay, these items which we've been buying from abroad will not be bought from abroad anymore. They will be made in India. This was another thing which was given to him. So you can understand that the entire package of revolution of military affairs rests on the shoulders of the CDS.